A drug cartel boss named Mencho was killed in Mexico, and it erupted into mob violence and the actual cartels taking over a lot of the streets in Mexico. But I can prove to you in less than 10 minutes exactly why these cartels are so powerful and exactly why they will not be overthrown. Let's get into it. My name is Casey, and I have been a husband, father, and therapist for more than a decade, and I can show you why in less than 10 minutes we are paying one of the greatest terrorist organizations of all time to take 100,000 of our young men and women every year. If you get me to the end of the video, I promise to deliver. Like on the way in, let's get into it.
Explosions erupting across Puerto Vallarta tonight. Black smoke seen rising over the resort city on Mexico's Pacific coast. Mexico's military forces launching a daring operation to capture cartel leader Ruben N., known as El Mencho. Multiple cars on fire in the streets. Mexican officials say during their operation, military personnel were attacked.
U.S. government, along with the Mexican government, worked in cahoots with one another to try to take out El Mencho, and he just happened to call the authorities. He called the police while he was being raided in order to tell them that if they didn't get their crap together, that he was going to basically have all of their heads. Watch a little bit of this from the PBD podcast and be shocked with the way that this cartel leader thinks that he can operate the Mexican police department. And by the way, the police officer is right there along with him. He is willing to concede the power to the cartel leader. Watch this.
Hey, ¿quién habla? Mira bien, hijo de tu puta madre. Soy Mencho, güey. Relaja tu puta gente a la verga. Soy Mencho, güey.
Telling the police to back
Relaja
off.
tus putas partidas, si no te voy a partir tu madre, tía, toda tu bola de perros. Te tengo identificado 30 güeyes. Hasta tus putos perros te voy a matar si no te relajas, güey.
Basically, don't you know who I am? Yeah. Don't mess with me, bro.
Ya está, señor, ahorita los bajo.
Sir.
Oh, no cuelgues, hijo de la verga. Te tengo ubicados en Chacala, güey. No le estoy colgando, le
Got
estoy
your
diciendo.
location. Wow.
Póngase bien las pilas, güey. ¿Qué se le cuesta ser amigo, cabrón?
Wow.
Uno no se mete con ustedes para que se pasen de verga.
Agree to work with us.
Ahorita yo se las bajo. Pongan, revíreme.
Recently, the Trump administration named the cartels as terrorist organizations, which meant that they could take a little bit further action in trying to knock off some of the leadership from out of country, which is quite possibly the reason why this operation started in the first place. But the results are tragic, partly because it demonstrates so much the way that the cartel has agency within this country, and yes, even the Presidente, Miss Presidente, does not seem to be able to refute it, possibly because she allegedly is in a little bit of hand in glove working with the cartels. But the cartels have received military training as of late, they've received military equipment as of late, and they have begun using drones as of late in order to carry out some of the operations that they are participating in. Watch a little bit of exactly how astute these military forces that the cartels are running appear to be.
It is also sophisticated, and that sophistication may have helped the group perpetrate Sunday's attacks. Unlike other cartels, CJNG has a corporate structure that's more reminiscent of an American company than a traditional drug cartel. According to the American National Counterterrorism Center, the CJNG used a franchise model to expand beyond its strongholds in Jalisco, Nayarit, and Colima.
But let's not act like this is an alien force that is just overtaking the country south of our border without our own agency involved in it. And this is where we might come in as people of God, as the leaders in this country who are attempting to promote a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom, which means that freedom from substance use as well as freedom from sin, freedom from the shackles of government and tyranny, and freedom from basically the grip that Satan has had on this country for so long. Now, I want to take you through a little exercise that we run within the groups that have operated for the last 10 years or so, and to show you precisely how powerful these cartels have become and exactly why they have become. We have a hand in it, of course. So as we look at when I've been in recovery for nearly 20 years, when I was using substances, I used about $600 a week. Now that's a large majority of my income at the time while I was using, and sometimes even more than my income, depending on what I was doing to try to maintain. So you multiply that times 52 weeks, and that comes out to about $31,200 per year. Now, I would operate groups within the Dayton area, and we'd have several dozen people. Some of them came in underneath the number that I was using, some of them over. Now, granted, some of that money went more towards alcohol too, but just for sake of argument, we're going to say I was somewhere in the middle of an average heavy substance user. Now, in a city like Dayton, Ohio, where I was operating this group, there's 136,346 people right now. Now, Dayton is a small city in southwest Ohio. If you've never heard of it, I don't blame you for that. It's just a small Midwestern city, pretty standard. But what isn't standard about Dayton is there is a great deal of substance use there, possibly more than the average city. So then we multiply that amount of population, 136,000 people, times 0.1. Because 10% of the people in that city have a substance use problem. It could be as high as 40%, but we're taking basically the national average and we're adding a percentage or two because Dayton is especially troubled, say. So you multiply that times 10%, it comes out to about 13,634 active substance users in the Dayton area. Now we multiply that times what I was spending annually on substances, about $31,200. And the total that we come out to is about $425,400,000. So from one small Midwestern city, just if we're taking averages, and of course it could be 100 million less than this, but that is still an insane number. So in one small Midwestern city, we're not even talking about the whole county, just the city, we are paying the cartels about $400 million to keep us fed for the year, every year. Now, Dayton is especially troubled. Like I said, that doesn't mean that every city has a 10% substance use rate, but if you look at the national average at about 7 or 8% for those who meet criteria for a substance use disorder, it's reasonable to say that even if I'm 25% off, that we are giving hundreds of millions of dollars from every city into the pockets of the cartels. And it's no wonder that the Jalisco cartel is one of only several others that are operating with great riches and at the great cost of our society and our populace. Now, I know also alcohol removed from this situation, there are about 100,000 people annually who lose their lives to substances. Over the last 10 years, that's just about the average. So we're paying these cartels billions and billions of dollars, even from just a few Midwestern cities, billions of dollars to kill hundreds of thousands of Americans every year. This is one of the greatest and most subtle terrorist organizations and operations that has ever been accomplished. And the sad part of it is that a great many of those whose lives have been lost are the type of young men that we need to press forward the country. They might be people who are disadvantaged. They might be people who have special challenges with the ways they were raised, but they were the champions that we have needed in order to fight for what's good, true, and beautiful. And granted, they had a substance use problem, and that's part of the way that Satan has convinced us as a country that those hundreds of thousands of young men and women who have lost their lives are in some way getting what they deserve. And just to be frank and to be real with you, I've known enough of these people to know that they have a great many skills and things that are transferable to a good society. They just possibly need some help. Yes, some need to be locked up. I'm not going to lie. A great many of them would benefit from that. However, they do need just that little hand up in most cases, and they could have been the champions that are bringing children into the world, that are bringing America into prominence even more so, and that are bringing fruitfulness into our country, but they will never have the chance. Some of them were already fathers and mothers, and their children now will become the clients of tomorrow who press their own substance use into a problematic place. But this is the greatest terrorist organization operation that has ever happened. Over the last 12 years, there's been over 1 million people that have passed away, and we've paid inevitably trillions of dollars to these organizations. And it's no wonder when we look at the way that they operate like an insane police force, if not a military force in and of itself. And the Mexican government is completely hogtied by these people because all of the money that we're giving them. So it's up to us. Yes, the U.S. government can go in and drop El Mencho, I guess, and possibly several others like him. But cutting off the head will not do it. We must provide for the desire, the supply, the demand on this end. They can control the supply. Maybe law enforcement can do better at controlling the supply. I appreciate that the Trump administration has tried to do that. It is up to us to control the demand. And part of that is giving back opportunities for young people to have meaning and purpose in their lives. It's a reintegration of faith. It's a reintegration of family. It's a reintegration of financial possibilities or financial hope. And right now, all of those things have been pressed apart by not just the world order that has run our country for so many decades, but also by Satan himself. I might be feeling to some of you like I'm being hyperbolic here, but I have seen the trenches of what happens to someone when they use these substances. It's undeniable that there's a spiritual force at work. And I've seen the loss of life that has come about when people enter into problematic substance use, and the results are spiritual, not in a good way. It's spiritually devastating to a family. And I've also seen the light switch that comes on when people get better and they know that the veil has been removed from their eyes, that they have literally been having scales on their eyes, making it impossible for them to see what is good, true, and beautiful. And when they lift that, the amount of spiritual rejoicing that happens is immeasurable, and the impacts and the ripple effects of that go out from that life into their lives of their families, and then potentially their children or their future children, and on down the line. God is restoring entire ancestry lineage lines by putting one of these people into recovery. And while Satan might try to take them out, it is our job as Americans to control the demand for these drugs, because again, from just one small Midwestern city, we're paying hundreds of millions of dollars every year to the cartel, and it's no wonder they look like they do. If you would like to promote the ability for our country to recover from this, and El Mencho aside, I would love your support. Let's do this together. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Please like, share, and subscribe.